So my advice, and if you're an invoicing-based business, is be really clear about what service you're going to provide, get agreement from the customer in writing, and therefore it's super clear what you're going to be delivering.
Kia ora team, Richard Liew here, editor at nzentrepreneur.co.nz, and today on the Knowledge Base I'm joined by Paul Veric. Paul is the co-founder of IPromise, a new payment app designed to help business owners like you and me get paid easier, quicker, faster, all of that good stuff. Joining us today from Taranaki. Paul, thank you so much for taking the time to chat.
Great, nice to chat to you, Richard. Thanks for the opportunity.
Awesome, cool. Now, for those who haven't heard, firstly, about IPromise, which is the name of your business, can you give us sort of the quick pitch, if you like? Who is it you were sort of working with, and what are some of those problems you're helping solve?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as you said, IPromise is for anyone that invoices and then waits for payment, small businesses, medium-sized businesses. And what IPromise is an app, and we secure the money from the customer prior to the job starting, and we hold it in a secure BNZ trust account. It's really transparent. Both parties can see that money's been held in that trust account, and then when the work's done, the supplier clicks a button and releases notification to their customer, and their customer agrees the job's done, and the supplier gets paid immediately. So not on the 20th of the month, not 2 months later. Instantly the job's done, and the only administration that's required is to do the quote within our system in IPromise. And the problem that we're solving, and is really well-known problem, is overdue and late payments, which is currently sitting around 7.4 billion in New Zealand at the moment. So it's a huge, well-known problem that all small businesses and medium-sized businesses are facing.
And of course, they say cash is king for obvious reasons. And in my experience, and I'm sure a lot of other business owners' experience, one of the things that potentially we don't think about in our excitement to win a job or win a client or a customer is like, okay, great, yes, we've got the job, so we know there's going to be some revenue, but then potentially, is managing that cash flow gap, because oftentimes we may not invoice until after we've done the job, which could be weeks or months even later than when we started. And then often there's late, there are the payment terms are an additional 30 days upon receipt of the invoice, or for some big companies I know of, up to 90 days. And, like, how on earth, as a small business owner, do you manage that interval, right? And as you said, $7.4 billion.
Yes, yeah. Oh, it's massive, and I think you've hit the nail on the head in that people are trying to get this money that they've already expensed their own time and resources on. So they've had to pay their staff, they've had to pay rent, insurance, equipment, gear, whatever it is, and yet they're waiting for this time lag. And we use the example of other industries that are much better at conditioning their customers to pay either before the job or before the service, or immediately after. And air flights is a good example we use all the time. You don't book up flights to Australia and New Zealand invoice you when you get back on the 20th of the month following. You're expected to pay. You have to front up with the money if you want the service. And of all people that deserve to be paid on time, we think small businesses in New Zealand and around the world deserve that.
And now this sort of notion of getting people to show that they've got the funds, right, by placing it with a third party, which essentially is what you guys or the app is acting as.
Absolutely.
Right. So that's going to give the service provider peace of mind that, yes, this customer, they do have the money to pay us, and they have shown that it's there, and they've put it into this third party account. And so we can go ahead and do the work knowing that once we've delivered, they can simply release it, and we are definitely going to get paid. Now that there's a name for that system, right, called escrow. That's essentially what you're doing, but you've bought some tech to do that.
Absolutely. And not everyone knows what escrow is, but it is escrow, and we like to think of it as everyday escrow. a bit like shares he's brought investing to everyday people and buying shares on the share market in a really simple, automated fashion. We're exactly the same. We've just automated that and made that so much more simple. The other example is buying a house as escrow. You put the money into your lawyer's trust account. If you're buying a house, it sits there, and when all the details have been confirmed and the keys are exchanged, well, then that money's released to the seller of the house. That's quite expensive. It's quite a cumbersome process. It's certainly not automated. And what we've done with our app is we've made it all possible from your mobile phone. So you can do everything from your phone, and simply clicking buttons, you can securely transfer the payments and also release the payments to the person that's providing the service. Right.
Okay. So, and what in terms of like how it works from a fee structure? Let's say I decide, right, I'm a provider of services. We want to use the IPromise app. So how does it work in terms of fees or whatever?
Sure, yeah.
For you, yeah.
Firstly, you get a 90-day trial to give it a go. We think in this type of industry, 2 weeks isn't enough to actually feasibly use a product like ours. So you get a 90-day free trial, and then it's a subscription. So it's $20, $40, or $90 for unlimited transactions. So most people who are using our platform pay $20 a month. And there's no limit on the amount in terms of the dollars that you can transact, but you get 5 transactions in that month. And as I said, most people are on that $20 a month plan, which is super affordable given the amount of money that they spend on trying to chase up funds and not getting funds. The other part, which is proving really popular, is you can also buy and sell goods using escrow and through our platform IPromise. So if you're selling a car, and the person's in Wellington, you're in Auckland, you agree on a price on Facebook or Trade Me. How do you exchange that cash? Do you pay the money and then go and pick up the car, or do you pick up the car and then transfer the money? And there's this what we call transaction chicken, with who's actually going to blink first and pay, and no one really wants to release the goods without the money, and no one wants to release the money without seeing the car. So with IPromise, you can put the amount into the trust account. Both parties can see it's there. Go and check out the car. Yep, that's exactly what I wanted. Click the button, release the funds into the owner of the car, and drive the car away. And everyone's happy because it's super fair and super transparent, as I said.
Yeah, the whole process of starting a business, right? We all know can be very overwhelming. It's super exciting when you're getting customers on board, right? That's where the most of our focus can and should be going as founders, is generating those leads and then converting them to sales, and then onboarding the customers and delivering our awesome service. And it strikes me that this whole notion, or the whole concept around payment terms, is often something we don't think about until it's too late often, right? Obviously we've got, thanks to like IPromise, that's a potential solution. But are there situations where maybe founders may not feel ready to move to that type of solution? And and if so, what might be some things that those founders can or should be thinking about, just in terms of setting up those customer relations and payment expectations well, so that they're actually not going to get themselves into trouble?
Yeah, look, it's a huge problem, and mainly because of the excitement of starting a business and winning work and saying yes to customers and being really keen to please them and deliver a service for them. But that's the fun bit and the easy bit. The hard bit is collecting the money and making sure you've got cash flow to actually survive. And lots of companies that go under or liquidate actually have a good pipeline of work. They've got plenty of customers. The order book looks really great, but their cash flow is really bad, and it's the lack of cash flow that's sunk their business. So for me, and what we see and what we really encourage people to do, is it's really important you quote well. It's really important you're accurate and you spend the time up front clarifying exactly what the job is. It's easy to walk around and go, oh yeah, that'll be about $5,000 or 10 grand. Customers got an expectation already of what it is, and then when bills come in, if it's more, which it often is, there hasn't been the documentation or the really clear understanding or the written agreement, and therefore that's where you have disputes, and that's where collecting your hard-earned money from the job that you've done becomes really difficult. So my advice, and if you're an invoicing-based business, is be really clear about what service you're going to provide, get agreement from the customer in writing, and therefore it's super clear what you're going to be delivering. And if there's changes along the way, those have to be communicated and agreed, again, ideally in writing along the way, to make sure that, you know, when you are actually sending out invoices, there's no surprise. There's a clear expectation from the customer, and yeah, there's no surprises for them.
Just one eye on the future. What sort of, I guess, medium-term plans for you now?
Yeah, we've got lots of plans. Our roadmap's a long highway rather than we certainly want to. We've got lots of features we want to add and build on to what we're already doing, and integrations with other software is really important. So at the moment we integrate with Xero, for example. So if you do a quote in our system, it writes automatically to your Xero account. So there's that side of it, and the integrations for people that are using other types of software. Certainly the ability to buy and sell goods, as we mentioned before, around buying and selling cars, and helping people to facilitate payment that way. And we've got a rate and review part of our job, a bit like Uber or Trade Me. So, you know, when you finish a job, you get to rate the person who you provide the services for, and vice versa. Really simple. But what that's going to enable us to do is have a directory of really good users and people with really good profile around using our platform. So you know you're dealing with someone who's you know, really reputable and also delivers a good service. And then that becomes a job search, job posting type platform as well. We're keen to, you know, really cut our teeth here in New Zealand. But we have got plans to expand into other markets as well. And all our research shows that it's not just unique to New Zealand. So if you're feeling like you can't get your bills paid, then you're not alone. It's a global problem. So we're really keen to take it international as well.